Good morning and welcome back to Grace Kids TV. I have a question for you. Have you ever felt jealous before? Jealousy is when you want something that somebody else has. You might even get upset or angry that you don't have what they have. Well, that's kind of what happens in today's Bible story. There were some people that wanted John the Baptist to get all of the fame that Jesus was getting. We'll see that John the Baptist does the right thing by pointing people towards Jesus instead of himself. We're going to learn all about that in our Bible story, but first, over to Gary. Hey Gary, how are you today?
Hey Josiah, I'm doing great. Thanks so much. And good morning to all of you who are watching today. Hope you all are doing well. Before we jump into our story today, we are going to review some questions from last week's story, which was Jesus' temptation. So let's see what you remember from last week. True or false? The devil tempted Jesus 4 times while in the wilderness. And the answer is false. The devil actually tempted Jesus 3 times while in the wilderness. Next question. The first time the devil tempted Jesus, he told Jesus to turn the stones into waffles. And the answer is false. Hopefully you got that one right. He just told Jesus to turn the stones into bread, which Jesus did not end up doing. Next up, the second time the devil tempted Jesus, he told Jesus to jump off of the top of the temple. And the answer is true. He did do that the second time. Next question. The last time the devil tempted Jesus, he told Jesus that he would give him all of the money and the power of the great kingdoms if Jesus would just fall down and worship the devil. And the answer is true. That also did happen. But of course, Jesus didn't actually do that. And our last question for today. The devil went away after Jesus said he would only worship and serve God. And the answer is true. Well, hey, nice job with answering all those questions today. We're actually going to jump right into our story for today, so let's check it out.
Jesus and his disciples were in the countryside. People came to see them, and Jesus taught the people about God. Many people were baptized. John the Baptist was nearby. He was baptizing people too. Some of the people who followed John began to argue. John had talked about Jesus, so they went to John. "Teacher," they said, "Jesus' disciples are baptizing people, and people are starting to follow him." John answered, "I told you that I am not the Messiah. I am the messenger who goes before the Messiah to tell people that he is coming." It was good that people were being baptized and following Jesus. That's what they were supposed to do. Jesus is the Messiah God promised. John said, "Think about a wedding. When 2 people get married, the man who married the bride is called the groom. His friend stands with him at the wedding, and the friend is happy to be there and to hear the groom's voice." John also knew that a wedding is the groom's special day. The groom's friend should not make it about himself. This was how John felt, like a groom's friend. And Jesus was the groom. John was happy that Jesus, the Messiah, had come. John said, "Jesus must become greater, and I must become less." Why was Jesus more important than John? Well, John was from the earth, and he could only tell people about things on earth. Jesus came to earth from heaven, so he could talk about things in heaven because he had seen them. God sent Jesus to earth, and Jesus speaks God's words. Everything Jesus says is true because God always tells the truth. God the Father loves his Son. He has given Jesus power over everything. Whoever believes in Jesus will live forever with God in heaven, but whoever does not believe in Jesus will not live forever. John the Baptist told people to get ready for Jesus. Now Jesus was here, and John's job was finished. Jesus was greater than John, and John was happy to step aside for Jesus to begin his work.
Hey everyone, welcome back. So we're actually going to try something a little bit different today. What's going to happen, I'm going to put 15 seconds on the clock here in just a second, and I want you to think of 2 things that you learned from our story today, and you're going to share those things with the people around you. Maybe it's your brother, your sister, maybe your parents, whoever it might be. You're going to talk to them. You have 15 seconds to do it and share 2 things that you learned from our Bible story today. All right, ready, set, go. Hey everybody, nice job sharing those things with the people around you today. Pastor Michael is going to come on now and he's going to share a little bit more about our story today. So let's see if you can learn a couple more things listening to Pastor Michael teach us a little bit here. And I'll see you next week. Over to you, Michael.
Hey, thanks Josiah, thanks Gary. Good morning to you, parents and kiddos at home. I wanted to share briefly about how the story and the life of John the Baptist can apply to us directly as parents and how we can kind of live that out in our lives. So 3 quick things. I think first, Scripture is faithful. God is faithful to His Word. John the Baptist was prophesied over 700 years before he was actually born. So maybe this is something that you can do with your family. Think about 700 years ago. If somebody was talking about your life today and then in your life now, it's actually playing out. That's what happened with John the Baptist. That's what happened with Jesus. That the whole Old Testament is about Jesus Christ. It's about God and His glory. And everything that was said is coming to pass through the life and person of Jesus Christ. So remind your children today that God is faithful to His Word, His promises, and His truth that is displayed through the Bible and through Scripture. The second, I want to talk about faith and evidence a little bit, and this is specifically with Zechariah. I know it wasn't in the lesson, but John the Baptist's dad, and the angel Gabriel came to him and said, hey, you and Elizabeth, you're going to have a baby, you're going to call him John. And he says, how can this be? We're old. He wanted more evidence. He was demanding more evidence from the angel. And the angel said, hey, you're going to be silent until John's born. That's what you get. And then Mary essentially asks the same question when he says, hey, you're going to have Son of God, Emmanuel, God with us. You are going to have a baby. And she says, how can this be? Now, there's a difference between wanting an explanation and then demanding evidence for it. So, as parents, let's walk our children through different ways that we can pursue truth and evidence and science, but also how do we balance that with displaying faith in what God has said and what He is continuing to do in our lives. And the third lesson I want to point out is how do we handle the pressures of our lives? So John the Baptist, he was pretty famous. A lot of people knew who he was. So how do we take the platform that we have? So as a parent, you could say, whether when you grow up and you become president, or you become an athlete, a celebrity, or you're a CEO of a big business, or you are in school, you are in elementary school, middle school right now, how do we use that platform to demonstrate and show other people hope that is in Jesus Christ? And that is exactly what John the Baptist did. Whether you're talking to your kiddo or you're speaking to yourself, I know I need this reminder. How do I use where I am to shed light on what Jesus Christ has done for us, sinners? That He died for us and rose again, defeating death. That by in faith, when we trust in Him and His work, we can be united with God again. So how do we share this truth using our platform? So I hope you're encouraged again by the lesson. I am praying for you constantly. If you want to talk or chat, I would love to connect with you guys. God bless. If you need anything, let me know, and I will see you next week. Take care.